Hey everybody, Brooks from Jack Times here. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm testing out the world's most powerful SUV, and that is the Aston Martin DBX707 in this pretty sick black. We got 23-inch wheels from the factory, carbon ceramic brakes. When this car came out, it was touted as the most powerful SUV ever produced with its 707 horsepower. And yeah, we got to talk about that a little bit, because most powerful doesn't always mean fastest. Of course, since then, a lot of competitors have come out, such as the Ferrari Purosangue with the V12 that makes well over 700 horsepower, and Ferrari's calling that an FUV. It doesn't call it an SUV. Of course, we got the Tesla Model X Plaid, which makes over 1,000 horsepower. People were going out and arguing, oh, well, that's not an SUV either. Of course it is. I mean, they're all the similar format. It seats 5 people or 4 people. It's not a car, it's a little bit higher. So all the arguing back and forth about which is most powerful, clearly they have to, if you have to have a bunch of asterisks, then you really shouldn't be calling it the most powerful. Tire pressures is super important in racing. I'm gonna check them real quick. I got this brand new Yan 2 portable inflator. This thing's been upgraded. It's got dual cylinders, so it pumps up twice as fast as all the rest. It's got a detachable cord here on both sides, so you can go up to 30 feet, accurate to 0.01 PSI. It's got presets for everything. So if you basically just click on this button here and you go to your presets, so there's 36, there's 85 for my truck, there's 10% for pumping up balls, and then there's 41 for my Tesla. For racing, we're going to set this to 28 PSI. We'll just pump it right down there. Then we'll simply connect up the inflator over here, and then you hit pump, and there you go. It only takes a few minutes to get up to the PSI because it's got dual cylinders. Look how fast that goes. There you go. When it reaches the PSI, automatically shuts off. You can also cycle between different measurements. So you got PSI, you got KPA, you got kilograms, centimeters squared, and back to bar, and then onto PSI as well. You can charge this with USB-C or a cigarette lighter adapter. The Yan 2 has an 8.3-inch LED screen, accurate to 0.01 PSI, 6,000 milliamp battery, so a huge battery. You can also charge your devices if you're in a pinch. It's got USB-C right there. You can charge with USB-C, charge with cigarette lighter adapter, or use it as a battery pack to charge all your devices. All right, so now let's try my Ferrari SF90. I just plugged in and we got 26 PSI. You just hit the plus and minus. We want 30 PSI. Hit the play button. There you go. 27. 28. 29. And boom, 30. So just, I think that was like 15, 20 seconds. It picked up 4 PSI. So I just keep one of these in each of my cars just in case I need air. All right, so if you want to pick up one of these, I'll put a link down in the description. You get a special discount from Drag Times. Then after asking this question a bunch about the most powerful SUV, they said, well, most powerful luxury SUV with another asterisk on it. So if you want to call the Tesla not a luxury car with 1,000 horsepower, fine, have at it. But at the end of the day, what's power without speed? So that's what we're going to find out today. Are of course the Cayenne Turbo GT, which you haven't seen. Link down in the description if you want to see us test out that. Of course, you got the Lamborghini Urus Performante, all with about 650 horsepower. Well, this is powered by a twin turbo V8 from Mercedes. Let's go ahead and jump inside and check it out. Jumping inside, very, very nicely done. We got a nice mix of full leather, some carbon fiber bits here, and then heated and cooled seats as well. We'll jump in the back in a little bit. Looks like we got some ambient lighting down here as well. A lot of this switchgear comes from Mercedes, of course. And the first thing you'll notice is it's got a 10-year-old entertainment system. And so for almost $300,000 for an SUV, you figured they would have updated some of this. But the first thing I'm doing is going to touch this screen, and it's not even a touch screen. It's pretty annoying. I'm sure you get used to it, but you have to use a lot of the dials and kind of mouse touch screen things down here to navigate. It's got a little bit of a haptic feedback, and yeah, so you can click here for climate control, AC sync, and all these different things here. I guess you come over here, you get your drive modes, individual, engine data, vehicle data. That's kind of cool. So if you click on engine data here, you can display the RPMs and or actually the horsepower and the foot-pounds of torque right there. That's kind of cool. And then down here, here's your volume to raise and put up the volume. Of course, on the steering wheel, you also got some volume controls. Over here, you got your telephone. Looks like your cruise control. It's got distance control, cruise control as well, maybe some lane keep assist, voice commands, go back home, and then so forth. For shifting, if you want to go manual, you got your paddle shifters left here and on the right. For your climate control, if you don't want to go through this myriad of buttons right here, you can just click up on the fan right there, recirc. It's got heated and cooled seats. Now, it's kind of weird that it lets you heat and cool the seat at the same time. Never seen that before, but okay, so be it. On down here, you got some cup holders. If you want to go to smaller cup holders, you can kind of press this button, it opens up there. And inside here, you got kind of a center console with some, it looks like an SD slot and 2 spots for your phones. Up through the roof, you got a huge, I would call this a moonroof. It doesn't open. There is a sunshade, which is nice to have. If you want to close that, you can hold on here, and then this will open and close the sunshade if it gets too hot for you. We're gonna go ahead and leave that open though. Some of the other buttons got right here for your suspension, so you can make it harder and softer suspension. There's a couple of different levels there. This is for your traction control. If you want to turn off traction control, you can see it lights up right there. Oh, here we got your lane keep assist. This will raise and lower the car. You got your exhaust. If you want to open up the exhaust valves and make it louder. Interesting note, I was told the little icon here is for the James Bond DB5. That's supposed to look like that, which came from the movies. There are also more tributes to the DB5 when you change the different modes using this dial here. So it's got normal, terrain, individual, GT Sport, and Sport Plus. So to switch these different modes, you just slide this and you'll see it kind of comes up there. So terrain mode will actually raise the car up if you want to do some off-roading with the DB707. And if you press that again, you can go into individual mode. Individual mode lets you preset all the different settings for individual. So it might be the ride height, it might be the exhaust valves, it might be the suspension settings. So you can set that up just for whatever you're using. And if you keep going through the modes, it goes down to GT. I think this is kind of the basic kind of driving mode. You can go down to Sport, and then you can go down to Sport Plus, which would be the most aggressive mode. So you can see the suspensions in Sport. We got the exhaust valves open, and there you go. Let's go ahead and jump in the back, see how much space we got. And not bad. I mean, it looks like pretty good. Get back here and just kind of have a seat and shut the door. Seating position in the front's kind of normal, and I actually got plenty of room. You can actually seat 5. Down here we have our climate controls for the rear. So it looks, we have heated and cool seats in the back. That's pretty cool. Yeah, of course, I don't know why it lets you turn them on and off all at the same time, but there you go. So we'll crank that all off so we get a little bit of volume. Fan speed, and then your temperature right there. Now in the back we got some more ambient lighting, looks like from Mercedes, and nice leather stitching on the rear seats, and some little carbon fiber bits over here as well. In the back we got a little cover so we can't see what's back there. Let's go ahead and pop the back hatch and see how much space we got. One button to lift the back. We got the flaps open so it's a little loud. Let's see what kind of space we got here. It's like a hard kind of cover up here, and then you can raise and lower the vehicle here, and then down here, if you wanted to fold down the seats, you can do that right there and then right there. So you can see how much space we got if this wasn't in place. Not bad, pretty cool. Now I don't think you can put those back up. We got to go back and put those back up manually. Down here under the center console, there's a space for your phone with some wireless charging, and then a weird pocket kind of down in here. I don't know how you'd use that, but your phone kind of sits right in here. Looks like there's also a button to open the trunk down here as well. Let's give it a couple revs, see what the engine sounds like. Yeah, it's a little weak. As with most cars, this has got a soft rev limiter, so we can't rev it in neutral. Anyways, let's jump in and take a drive. Special thanks to my buddy Heath over at Recon. If you would need all kinds of truck accessories, lighting for Ford, Dodge, whatever you got, they got some amazing lighting accessories for your truck. I'll put a link down in the description so you go ahead and check them out. So now we're off. Put your foot on the brake. The buttons are up here for drive, neutral, reverse, and start. And let's get moving. So right now we are in Sport Plus. And right away you can tell the throttle is a little sensitive. Definitely very, very jumpy.
30.
Oh, it's got a lot of power. This thing moves pretty good, pretty impressive, and it sounds great. Wow.
6 miles.
With downshifts, if I hit the downshift button, it downshifts right there and gives a little bit of pops and crackles.
60.
Very, very responsive. You can hear it really pop and crackling back then. And handling is, man, this thing's pretty tight. Wow. I'm gonna go ahead and crank it back down into kind of normal mode, and let's see how it responds. Right now I'm in GT mode, which is kind of your normal everyday driving, and immediately it's a little quieter and not as sensitive. You can see it's upshifting a little more quicker right there.
60.
But I gotta tell you, these twin turbo motors, they got a lot of torque and a lot of power pretty much everywhere.
60.
I mean, the passing ability of this car is just pretty phenomenal if you're just kind of cruising and
60.
get on it. Wow. This thing is no slouch. And it downshifts. It's pretty responsive in the driving, 100%. Pulling onto a highway, got a little sweeper right here. Even in GT mode, which I'm in right now, it's pretty responsive. Now, if I crank it back up, well, that's all we got now is the terrain mode, which is off-road. We definitely don't want that. Now it wants us to reduce speed, I guess, because it's raising the car up. So I'm just going to drop it back down into Sport Plus, because that's probably how I'd be driving this car, and just see how it is.
60.
One kind of weird thing about this car is the gauges, they are kind of opposite. So the mile an hour and the RPMs kind of go like up and down like this, which is kind of weird. No heads-up display. I thought I would kind of expect that at this level of car. Now right down here you can see it shows the horsepower and the torque as you're on and off it. So if I go ahead and jump on it, there you go. Full 700 horsepower and 700 foot-pounds of torque. You can see it coming down here. That's kind of pretty cool. And then another thing is the gauges, the RPMs swing this way if you're looking down here at the mile an hour. So they come from opposite directions, kind of meeting in the middle if you're going to go the full 200. This car sounds great. Wow. This is a lot of fun. I came in with kind of mediocre expectations from Aston Martin. I've driven quite a few before, but this thing's freaking great. I think my main concern, just as an everyday car, would be this display here, and it's not touchscreen. I'm still reaching up here to touch things. You got to deal with, 10-year-old Mercedes-Benz technology. And I just, my feeling is if you're going to spend the money on an Aston Martin, you need a premium experience that's up to date with everything else, right? We need touchscreens. I think this probably does have CarPlay, so that's a good thing. You probably avoid a lot of the old interfaces with Mercedes if you're just running CarPlay most of the time. But yeah, I think if you updated the infotainment on here, you'd have a real winner. So I think sticker price on this one came in at $280,000. I think there's some discounts to be had. I've seen quite a few of these sitting at the dealers, but the pricing's right in line with other super SUVs, most namely the Cayenne Turbo GT. The one I drove came in at like $255,000, and a previous test I did on the Urus Performante, that came in at just over $300,000. So the three cars are similar in power, similar in price. You just got to pick which one you want. All right, now we got a little bit of open highway. Let's give it a stab and see how he goes. From 70, didn't downshift too aggressively right there, but it built speed. But I can always hit the paddle shifter right here. There we go. Little 3RS. That's kind of funny. See if he wants to go again. New 3RS versus Aston. All right, here we go. Let's see what this thing does. Oh man, that thing moves. This car launches pretty hard. And the sound, man, this car's awesome. All right, here we go, launch control in the 707. Engage, race start. Oh, yeah. This thing's super impressive. Lots of torque. 0 to 60 is coming in I believe the low 3s. Quarter mile, low 11s. We're going to review the numbers in a minute. All right, so there you go. Not great weather conditions, but still ran 11.2 in the quarter mile at 122, 123 miles an hour. Now on the same piece of road and the similar conditions, the Urus ran 11.5 and the Turbo GT ran 11.4. Revving up. Go. Oh, shit. So this is pretty much king of the SUVs that of course are not electric based. 0 to 60 in this with the rollout was 3 seconds flat, and the Turbo GT I think was 3.2 and the Urus was 3.3. So again, launches harder, better quarter mile, and higher trap speeds when you look at all the data here. And you know, with some better weather, DA is like 1500 right now, and an even DA on a cool day, I believe this car could probably run 11.1, 11.0. I don't think it's got 10s in it. But maybe we'll get this on the track, give it a try. Would love to race this against Turbo GT and Urus side by side to see heads up how it compares. And of course, I have a Ferrari Pro Sangue on order, and that has more horsepower, supposed to be faster. So when we get our hands on that, we'll do some testing on the V12 powered Ferrari as well. I've driven it. It definitely doesn't have the torque that this has, so I'm not expecting it to beat it, although technically Ferrari says it should. And don't forget, if you want to quickly inflate your tires, pick up the Yantu A22 dual cylinder air pump, link down in the description.